frame. My blood's boiling, it's beating out propane. My train of thoughts more like a runaway train. I'm in a fast car, driving in the fast lane. In the rain, and I might just hydroplane. I don't fear none of my enemies, and I don't fear bullets from Uzis. I've been dealing with something that's worse than these. I'm making fall to your knees, and that's the anxiety. Sane and the insane rivalry. Paranoia's run me to my knees. Lord, please, 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 take away my anxiety. Sane and the insane rivalry. Paranoia's run me to my knees. Lord, please, 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 take away my anxiety.
My head keeps running away, my brother. The only thing making me stay, my brother. But I won't give in to it, bro. Gotta get myself back now. God, I can't let my mind be tied. My enemy is my own. Got to find my inner wealth. Grasp a hold of my thoughts. I can't get caught. I can't give into it now. Emotions are trapped, sitting on lock. Got my brain stuck, going through the motions. Only I know what's up. I'm filled up with pain, try to gain my sanity. Everywhere I turn, it's a dead end in front of me. With nowhere to go, gotta shake this anxiety. Got me feeling strange, paranoia took over me, and it's weighing me down. And I can't run any longer, y'all. Knees to the ground.
I don't fear none of my enemies, and I don't fear bullets from Uzis. I've been dealing with something that's worse than these. I'm making fall to your knees, and that's the anxiety. Sane and the insane rivalry. Paranoia's run me to my knees. Lord, please, 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 take away my anxiety. Sane and the insane rivalry. Paranoia's run me to my knees. Lord, please, 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 take away my anxiety.
What is going on, everyone? How are we doing? Welcome on into Special Media, and my name is Special Ed, and we got a really special one here for us tonight. We are heading out to my hometown, out at Hogback Hill Motocross, one of my most favorite tracks. Can't thank the whole MXL crew enough for bringing us such a fantastic track and a fantastic race for us here to be doing here tonight. As always, a huge shout out to everybody that's all been supporting us along the way. Obviously, this one a little bit different than our normal walkthrough, I would typically say. Obviously, everybody along the bottom bar, you guys see there each and every week. So huge shout out to all of you guys. MXL, TPR, AB Customs, THV, CBS. We do have VM visuals on the screen off to this side of me. And obviously the main sponsor of Special Media being Club MX. So huge shout out to all of those guys, and kind of a new one that we're bringing into this corner. So just down right here, you guys can see that King of the Hill logo. If you guys don't know, a little bit of backstory on what Palmyra is, what King of the Hill, a couple of ways you'll hear me reference this. It is known as Palmyra Racing Association or Hogback Hill Motocross. Been around since the early 60s. So they've been around a long time. And man, I'm telling you, the track that these guys put on each and every week is absolutely fantastic. They are a non-for-profit club organization, so it's a lot of volunteer work. If you guys have never been there, it is an insane track, 180 acres of land, just some beautiful pits. I believe now 2 tracks plus the hair scramble that they run pretty much every single fall. Once again, this is going to be a blast of a race here tonight. I know a lot of you guys are probably all still in qualifying, as that should be wrapping up here in just a few minutes, but figured we'd get a little kind of talk track and see what we got going on. We got a few of the home guys there. We got Big Special Ed. If you guys don't know that, that is my pops. He has actually been one of the presidents of the club for probably over a decade at this point. So good to see him in here. Goat Media, Seth out of the area as well. Been a big part of the track. So definitely super excited to be seeing a lot of familiar faces on here. I saw a couple of the guys in signups that I know I've raced personally at that track. So should be a really cool race here. Once again, obviously this whole series, or whole race, I should say, it's not necessarily a series. But MXL and Rico, that whole crew, reached out to me, said they wanted to put on something cool. I said, what better than to mimic what Palmyra does every year in about midsummer, is they host their own King of the Hill race. That King of the Hill race brings out thousands of fans. I think last year we had over 500 riders. If you guys were around, you may have heard my voice as I was able to announce that race. So it was a really cool event. Unfortunately, we got a little bit of weather last year, or this past year. But if you guys are in the area, if you're even in that Northeast, it is definitely worth the drive. Like I said, the track is phenomenal. The scenery, just everything is absolutely beautiful up there. So once again, going to be taking a look at what we got coming at us for us today. A little. So what we got coming at us for today, like I mentioned before, Rico with the whole MXL crew, myself, as well as AG. If you guys don't, I believe it's AG. Let me double check this. Don't want to make a mistake here. AG, yeah. If you guys don't know him, Austin is he does a lot of kind of videos and stuff of that nature in terms of edits. He has also offered up a free edit to anybody that shared the Instagram post, liked it, and gave him a follow. Super cool thing. We're going to be doing probably a drawing off of that post, probably right around the new year, to see who's going to get that. Obviously, you do have to be in the Western New York area, and we'll be able to coordinate all of that and get that all done. Additionally to this, Palmyra was nice enough. They're also going to be putting up some swag bags for us. So I believe what we kind of came to the conclusion of is our winner tonight of this race will be getting a swag bag. Additionally to that, we're going to be doing 2 random drawings. just kind of through all of the social medias, we're going to kind of put a bunch of names together. So if you see somebody or one of me, Palmyra, or even Rico reach out to you, it is because you probably won something. So make sure you're keeping an eye out on all of that. Once again, that'll all be done through social media stuff. And then last but not least is this race does have a prize pool. Once again, MXL putting on a fantastic series, pitched in, I believe, $55. And I went ahead and matched that here from special media. Obviously, all of that pretty much comes from you guys. Like I said before, whatever you guys donate, whatever you guys bring into the streams, we always try and loop that right back into what we got. And that is going to be this prize pool for this fantastic race. Super excited to see it. We do have $5 going to the fastest qualifier, making qualifying a little more kind of on edge. A lot of these guys, I was kind of keeping an eye on them in some of the Discords, and they were really pushing for that $5. Additionally to that, we're going to be doing $5 whole shot awards, so we'll be keeping an eye on that and who gets all of that done. And then on top of that, each moto is going to be a $20 winner payout. And then at the end, $25 to our overall winner, $15 to second place, and $10 to third. I know it's not a ton of money, but hey, when you're hanging out playing a video game, it's pretty nice to be able to walk home with some money. At that point, I mean, if you win each moto, you grab each hole shot and the overall, you could be walking home with about what, $90 or so. That's pretty dang good for just an evening after Christmas. Once again, though, hope everybody had a great Christmas. Hope everyone has a great holiday season. We're going to be waiting just for our servers to be going up here very shortly. Appreciate the follow there, Yamaha. What is going on, man? We're hopefully going to be getting into racing here very shortly. Rico's always really good about making sure things are up and moving. Believe Rico's probably going to be typing here very shortly to let us know that we are going racing in just a few minutes. I do want to kind of give the notification now, and also see Jake. Appreciate that follow there, brother. Welcome on in. But as I was just mentioning, so what this is kind of doing for us is this giving us a good foundation. Really cool to be able to work with a real life motocross track that, once again, is one of the top facilities in my opinion. Maybe call me a little biased or not. But it is really cool to be able to work with these guys and kind of bring another element to the game of MX bikes. We know there's some big real named kind of sponsors in this game, but I don't believe any motocross tracks have jumped on board with it. So it's super cool to have Hogback kind of leading this and seeing what we can do. With that being said, hopefully next year, we got some big plans. Probably going to try and do this race once again. Probably do it right around the actual King of the Hill event. Hogback already kind of in conversation with them to kind of put up some even more numbers and kind of hope to back us even further in what we got going on. So make sure you guys are going to be marking your calendars. We'll obviously have all those notifications and everything as we get closer to that time. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start loading into the servers, get everything up and rolling. Appreciate it, Goat. Yeah, as we all know, as a streamer, it takes forever to get loaded into all of our beautiful servers. But once again, going to be a really cool night tonight. Might even, I'll see if he is around, if the OG Special Ed is around to maybe hop in the booth with me just for a quick word, maybe during intermission or something. We'll see what we got going on. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I know for some of you might be getting pretty late, especially if you guys are out over the pond. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out and racing. I was going to see if we were able to share screen here, but looks like I might not have it set up. Yamaha saying only Yamaha to qualify. There we go, brother. Hey, yeah, the Yamaha, I think it's kind of slept on. I actually like riding it. I don't know much about outdoors, but But once again, still getting loaded into our servers here. We are just going to be doing an A main tonight. Yeah, it is a sea of orange. Every race we announce, it is all orange. Billy, appreciate the follow there, brother. Welcome on in. Hope you're having a fantastic night getting in here early before we get to the racing. We are going to be running a 2-moto format here tonight. So just like you guys are familiar with, Moto 1s, Moto 2s, lowest, technically now it's highest score wins. So first place takes home 25 points. I believe second is 23. Then I think it's 21 or 22. And then it kind of goes back from there. So whoever scores the most points will end up on the overall. At that point, we'll have interviews with the riders if they are around and want to jump in. But obviously, we have plenty of time and racing in between there. Once again, just getting loaded into this server. It does take a while to get everything all loaded in. A couple of these guys are sending in kits, so you'll see some actual graphics and gear sets that these guys are wearing. So that is always super cool about the game. Trying to keep pushing that each and every week. I think also that is part of what we're going to do next year. I think we're going to try and do kind of the King of the Hill graphics as well. So see what some guys can come up with and see what they can do with the hog. But once again, let me just get a few things dialed in before we kick the cameras on here. Get a few things up and rolling, and we're going to take a look at this beautiful track. Once again, huge shout out to Rico for putting everything together. And I mean, you're going to see, if you guys have ever been to Palmyra, you guys are going to recognize this. Let's kick things on down to the track cams for the first look here at Hogback Hill. So as this triggers over, there we go. So taking a look, obviously the pits have a bit of a facelift here with a bit of a freestyle track put in. This is just for those guys that want to rip around, ride around, just like you see now here before racing. Gives these guys a little bit of an opportunity to test out the bike, see what they got going on, and see if any adjustments are needed to be made. As you can see, that whole sea of orange. We do have a Kawasaki out there. We got a couple Husqvarnas. Obviously, we do have a Yamaha as well, so a little bit of difference in some of the bikes. Still not crazy, but and as we take a look around this track, before we get into racing, you're probably going to hear me call out a few different things. Obviously, as we take a look down here, down at our starting gates, looking down to turn 1, there's going to be a few names that I call out. Just to our left here on the inside of turn 1, we're going to be calling that the fly-off. Historically known, one of the biggest jumps out here at Hogback Hill. Seeing the Hogback logo there. Same thing with the special media. Up into this turn 2, into the step up after that left-hander, into the long sweeping right. And as you can see, this track is absolutely gnarly. Braking bumps, deep ruts, and beautiful scenery. That is something we're going to be kind of paying attention to as the night goes on, as E-Road continues to set in. This is going to be a gnarly track. And once again, if you guys have ever been out to this track, you guys know we're looking pretty on par to what it looks like towards the end of a day. After you make this big sweeping right-hander, you're going to be dropping in to Walkers here. Walkers is a long roller section up to the step up to up into a left-handed corner. Quick right. Got a double table into Hartman's Hill. Round the right-hander as we make our way back down the hill towards the pavilion. And this is going to get gnarly. As you can see, plenty of lines, plenty of ruts, and plenty of braking bumps into that big sweeping left-hander as you charge up the hill up to this AG21 schoolboy, or step up that they call it, the leap. Couple different names for it there. Making our way around the right-hander to the back section of the track, hitting this little table into the double into our whoop section. Now, a lot of riders trying to triple into that, or they're going to stay low, scrub in, and go triple. So a couple different line options through there. Starting to make our way back down. And as you can see, the elevation of this track is absolutely incredible. Once again, this is actually pretty to scale of how this looks in real life. And definitely up in Western New York, utilizing all of the terrain that they can. As we continue on up over the 10,000 gallon into the sharp left-hander, rider's going to be having to get hard on the brakes here, seeing where they can find some smooth ground through a right-hander as we drop into the infamous Gravity Cavity. A lot of you guys probably saying, hey, Gravity's at Unadilla. This one was the original. This was prior to Unadilla's Gravity Cavity. And as you can see, dropping down quite a tremendous steep drop-in all the way down to the bottom here. And then back up the other side as you jump up, making a quick right-hander and then dropping back in. Heading towards the uphill triple or the step up again. These 250 riders, which is a note, every rider here is on a 250 class. In the 250 class, I apologize. All these guys are going to be not able to triple up this. They did that on purpose. You guys, once again, have been here in real life, you know this is an absolutely massive uphill triple, and most of the time not tripling up on a 250. Gonna make a quick left-hander, drop back down the hill, head down towards the pavilion, right across all of our spectators here, through the right-hander, up over the table, and coming across here at the finish line. We're gonna be making a straightaway down to the right-hander. And once again, that is going to be a lap here at Hogback Hill, up over that fly off. As riders continue to click laps off here, it is going to get interesting. There's many blown wheels on that uphill triple, as well as many blown out ankles is what I have seen. But there it is. The horn is going off as we get ready to head to Moto number 1. Taking a look at our lineup: Chubbs, Brad, Zeke, Hockey, Stargame, Ricky Bobby. Believe that is going to be Rax, Neff, Source, Rico, Adam H, Finley, Adam B, Carter, Waffle Slayer, RC14, Toulouse, Ketchy, 1, Yami, Naved Slicks, Jake Jan, Bowden, Big Red, Holland, Young Cherokee, Goat, Cecilion. God, I'm not quite sure how to say your name there. I apologize. And our last rider there, Diddy. So once again, getting ready to drop this gate here as riders have made their way down to our starting line. Obviously, most riders are going to be stacked up on this inside gate. Seeing a whole bunch of sea of red all through there. Couple Huskies, couple Yamahas. And out here towards the end, trying to see if they can sweep turn 1 here. That is a move that I have seen done, so we will have to see. So with that 30-second board going up, we are about to see the action kick off here for the first time at Hogback Hill for our King of the Hill. Who is going to be wearing that crown? We will find out after 2 motos. Revs have gone up, and we are about to go racing. Gate is down, and here we go. As riders compiling into turn 1, it looks like... Where is our line? There it is. Chubbs on the MXL FXR KTM ride is accredited with the whole shot, but he is going to be quickly passed here. Hockey and Source making a pass up the inside into Walkers. And these guys going to be duking it out. Some of our fast front runners looking to take home those cash prizes. If we glance just over their shoulder, there is Rax and Zeke. Rax on that Moto Academy Husqvarna ride. Zeke out on the MXL FXR KTM machine. And look at that, 3 wide down to the bottom of the hill as they make their way up towards the schoolboy. It looks like we are going to have Hockey on that AEO MXL machine out into that number 1 spot early on. Source on the MRC KTM ride. Leaps for that triple, comes up short though. And that is going to open the door as Zeke makes the pass. Neff on the MXL Nitro Developments team starting to make his way up into the pack here. Toulouse and Chubbs get tangled up, go down. That looked like it was Rico as well making his way up here. This is great to see that name up towards the front of the pack. His teammate Stargame right there behind him. Rax. And you can see, look how far down these riders are going, carrying tons of speed all the way down and right back up the hill. Looks like two riders getting tangled up there. That was Toulouse able to get out of that scratch free. The man go on that moto option MXBF KTM ride, making his way down the hill on his lap number 1. Hockey still holding strong in that number 1 spot. Looks like he is about a half a second now over Zeke, but Zeke has definitely been one to put in the laps here, as he is going to be continuing to push the pace and see if he can find an opportunity to make a pass. Neff, Source, Chubbs all right there together as well. Rico a much better start than what we've seen him in the past few weeks in the MXL series. But Rax looking to make that pass stick, dives down to the inside, and he is going to get that pass made. These guys battling it out here for, it looks like, about the 6th position. Stargame going to try the inside hop, and he gets it done. What a line out of Stargame, as he is going to grab a 2 for 1. You can see a lot of these riders trying to find the low line. Source going to tag the tough block, goes down, and that is Rico that is going to find his bike. That is unfortunate, as now Carter going to be looking to make a pass here. As we make our way back to the uphill triple, we're going to be catching Hockey make his way towards it. Hockey on that AEO MXL ride, still trying to hold strong. Zeke looking good here on the early laps, but Neff putting down some lap times as he is slowly reeling these guys in. Chubb, Stargame, and Rax all right there together as well. Source on that MRC machine making his way back down the hill towards this finish line section. Riders trying to stay as low as they possibly can over these two. And we'll catch a glimpse over here at the fly-off. Riders leaping their way down the hill. About 110 feet from takeoff to landing. Keeping an eye on Rico here. Once again, if you guys don't know much about the game, Rico here, the MXL FXR KTM rider, the owner of MXL, also our series host and race host, as well as track builder. It's a little bit of a competitive edge on the rest of the field, but still looking really good out here, and great to see him out towards the front. Carter on that CDS SLD KTM ride, putting the pressure on and staying near him. Toulouse on that Chrome Star Racing team, looking good, just sitting in that 10th position. Brad on the CDS machine, expecting to see him make his way towards the front. Finley on the Husqvarna sitting in about 12th now. Adam B from that Moto Creative Co team. Ethan and RC14 up the schoolboy there is Naved as well on that BRT ride. Do have Adam, Ketchy, Bowden. There is Goat as he takes a look at the camera up the hill. Slicks, Waffle Slayer all in the mix as well. But we're going to make our way back towards the front here. Looks like Stargame and Chubbs getting tangled up. Chubbs taking an off-track excursion there. Once again, if you're not familiar with the game, that is going to cause him to have some cuts. Cuts are a penalty that gets calculated in at the end of the race. If you have too many cuts, you lose time and you lose spots. So it is key to stay on track and make sure you are charging forward. Keeping an eye here on Neff, who has been kind of a strong contender in some of these 250 races. Seems like starts have been kind of his kryptonite, but here he is, a much better start and currently running in that 3rd position. But as we see, Zeke still absolutely putting the laps down as he continues to run away with that number 1 spot. Hockey now in that number 2 position. He's looking good here, but he is going to have his hands full as Neff continues to make up ground on these guys. Seeing where Stargame is at. There he is in that 6th position. Still has Rico and Chubbs just there behind him, and Source as well. Seeing who we got here. Carter on that CDS ride, and Brad, there he is, slowly making his charge up towards the front. Toulouse looking good in there. Ethan on that AEO MXL KTM ride. See a lot of MXL riders, these guys starting to take over the motocross community as well, if this being their kind of signature track at this point. A lot of these riders putting laps down before the race, seeing what they can get comfortable with. Source getting a little squirrely over the finish line jump, able to keep that bike upright. Still got about 17.5 minutes here in Moto number 1, so still plenty of racing action coming at us here as we watch Stargame make his way out into Walkers. Gets a little squirrely in these gnarly ruts. What up, Toxic? Yeah, where you at, brother? Figured we would have seen you out here going for the cash. Look at this. Rack slowly making the charge up. Has Neff now in his sights. Once again, for those people that don't necessarily know the game, Ricky Bobby here, or also known as Rax, an aerial pro champion, multi-aerial pro champion, should I add, making an absolute charge here. He is now sitting in that number 4 spot, starting to reel in that number 3 position of Neff, and we're going to see what he can do. He is definitely a fan favorite in terms of winning the crown here tonight. And Neff with the mistake allows Rax to make the pass stick. Rax gets a little squirrely though. Was talking to him earlier in qualifying. Was stating that it was definitely fast was to be smooth. We're seeing just a couple little mistakes, allowing other riders to make an advantage on that. Zeke and Hockey, though, still battling out here towards that number 1 spot. Couple riders in the way, now getting into some lap traffic early on. Shout out here. Young Cherokee is a local rider. Tommy grew up racing with him, so great to see him out here putting some laps down. Had probably a very familiar track for him. Zeke out here just putting the laps down. He is looking really good here tonight. No, he was targeting to try and go 1-1, try and take home some cash. But Hockey looking phenomenal as well, making his way through some of these lap traffic with ease. Looks like we got a lot of battling going on back here towards the back of the pack. Neff trying to fight his way through some of that lap traffic, gets a little nudge off the side of the track, able to regroup and continue on. These riders drop down into Gravity Cavity. Rax as well, still running in about that, looks like 5th now, as Stargame has made the pass for that number 5 spot. Once again, there is still some money to be won inside the 2nd and 3rd overall. So both motos do matter when it comes down to our overall racing. Believe we are going to have Zeke, our current race leader, 2-second lead now over that number 2 spot of Hockey, his teammate. These guys, some of the fastest guys on 250s in the game. And Hockey continues to push the pace. 13:40 left in the race, and Hockey gets caught up in some of the roughness, goes down over the bars. Neff, Chubbs, Stargame, all right here together as well. And this is about to get interesting as these guys gonna all be duking it out, probably all sitting in the same call. And Chubbs and Stargame take each other out. Rax able to make his way down the hill, make 2 easy passes. Looks like Big Red getting out of the way for some of these fast riders. You can see these 250s opting to go double in and then triple. Definitely the smarter move. That big triple in is a reach on these 250s. And there's the local goat making his way up the hill as Hockey looking to put him a lap down here. Or actually already is, as Zeke now a 7.5 second lead. Just shows what one little mistake on this track can do to you. Zeke still continuing to run away with this. 15.5 seconds. He is trying to put the hammer down. If he can open that gap up enough, little mistakes like we just saw won't bother him too much. Sleepy, a lapped rider in the mix here. There is Hockey in that number 2 spot. Keeping an eye here just for a moment. We see Goat tuck the front end, goes down. Here is Stargame. Shows that he is now up into that number 3 spot. Bringing along Rax with him. Chubbs, Neff, Brad, there he is. So he is slowly crawling his way towards the front of this pack. As he shows in 6. Source had a great ride in the past MXL series racing, and he is going to be inside that 8th position. Ethan on that AEO MXL ride in that 9th spot. There is Rico holding down that 10th position. Kawasaki rider out here. Once again, great to see some different bikes. There is Carter. Carter in that 13th. Adam and Toulouse all 11, 12, and 13 battling it out for that top 10. Finley in our 14th position. Riders right around a 145, 150 lap time is about what we've been seeing. Here's Yamaha on that MDR SPS ride on the Yamaha. Zeke is looking to put him a lap down here as he makes his way up the inside into Walker's. It's supposed to be one of the more challenging parts of the track, but Zeke doing it flawless. Finding the smooth lines around this motocross track, hopping in and out of different lines. And as you can see, the ability to switch directions and change your lines on this track is definitely crucial. And then most importantly on these 250s, keeping that power to the ground, seeing these riders use just the edge of the track, clipping those track markers. Zeke making his way up over that 10,000, 10-second lead now over Hockey. Racing this track back in the day used to be a favorite track to ride, but also an enemy. I hear that probably more times than not. Definitely one of the fan favorite tracks. If you like a rough, rutted track, this is the place to be. Some incredible terrain. They put in a lot of time and effort into making the dirt good and making sure that riders have an opportunity to ride at what real motocross is. Once again, when I was thinking of some ideas of what we could do for a signature race, what better track to bring it to than the King of the Hill at Hogback. And bringing it to us in virtual is a really cool moment at this point where we can partner up with some of these real life motocross tracks, bring in some real sponsors, and make this kind of feel like it's a true motocross event. Obviously, there is some things that aren't perfectly lined up, but we always try our best. And obviously, with all the support of everybody in watching the streams out here racing, we just plan to keep continuing to grow this race and grow this kind of almost series into it. We have actually been kicking the idea around of opening up maybe some other tracks, doing a bit of a small series. I do know and have talked to Rico about some of the other tracks being built in game from the Western New York area. But with Hogback being so close to home for a lot of us, had to at least start at this one. Well, once again, as we jump back to our racing action, Zeke out to that dominating lead. About a 9-second gap, I believe we have between Zeke and Hockey. Seeing where the rest of our riders are, there is Stargame and Chubb. So these guys battling out for that number 3 spot. Once again, there is still money to grab, whether you were in third or first. And in the 2-moto format, that opens up a lot of opportunities. A bad start out of one of these guys could be detrimental to the overall. You know, it's funny that you kind of mentioned that. Yeah, so we've, I think for next year, we're going to try and do an even bigger King of the Hill event, try and bring in some more opportunities, maybe some more classes, maybe even do more of a, like a 125 shootout or something of that nature. And then we have kicked the idea around of doing a vintage race. The creator, Rico, who has made this beautiful track for us, actually has done, he did Broome. I know he wants to redo it as it was his first track that he ever built. But there has been talk about running a kind of a vintage style race there, vintage national. Look at this, 2, 3, and 4 right on each other's rear tires. As these guys battling through this track, seeing some different line choices here. This is what we love to see, riders having to explore some of this gnarly track. Pushing the pace while still keeping it under control seemed to be the hardest thing for a lot of these riders here tonight. And once again, the game does have a bit of its own kind of erode or erosion, and you can kind of see that in this very inside line. This will slowly get deeper and deeper as the race goes on and into Moto 2. So riders may end up changing up some of their lines come Moto 2. Also making some suspension changes to dial in for the rougher track. Seeing Rax on screen there, that is the 5th position. And just as an idea, Rax 30 seconds now off of Zeke. And the updated time there, Zeke now 16 seconds out in front of Hockey. So he has absolutely found his flow, and he is looking to grab that number 1 here, at least in Moto 1. And Brad and Neff battling it out here. Both these riders very fast, 250 riders, and looks like Neff is going to get the short end of the straw there, and he is going to go cartwheeling. Ethan now looking to make a pass happen, and he does. You know, it's funny, like as I say, as I get older, I'm still in my 20s, but being able to jump on the game and ride some of these tracks, and even if you're not great at the game, it does bring a lot of nostalgia to it. Being now that I live in the Carolinas, there's plenty of tracks that I can go jump out and ride each and every weekend, but I feel like nothing ever hits home like some of these tracks out of Western New York. more predominantly this one here of Hogback Hill was always a fan favorite, only living 15 minutes down the road from it, so spent a lot of time, a lot of I could say a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this track just from a racing standpoint, and I would say from a worker standpoint. Like I mentioned before, all of Palmyra is a club, so pretty much everything is all volunteer work that these guys are able to put on, being very involved with it each and every year until I packed up and moved south for some better weather. But still, once again, always love to make the trips up, get a ride day in. And like I had mentioned, this past year was able to actually come up and be the announcer for the King of the Hill race, and was an absolute blast. Seeing a lot of familiar faces and just announcing some great racing was an absolute time that I had. And watching this battle here, I apologize not talking much about the race, but Ethan and Source have been duking it out here through these past few corners. Neither one willing to bend or break. It's funny you say that. We were actually just talking about that prior to getting the live stream up. I was actually the one that went and talked to Cooper at Unadilla. That was the year before he went pro, was on the Yamaha with the yellow number plates. And super cool to have some racers of that caliber out here, and actually now living in the Carolinas, have ran into him on a couple of different occasions, and he still remembers this track. Says that it was one of his favorite tracks that he had ever ridden as an amateur rider. And he obviously he's been all over the place, so that is a pretty cool kind of stat to bring into Hogback, and obviously for all the local riders that know this is home. It is also one of the fan favorites of a very well-known motocross rider. I'll still never forget that these guys aren't taking the same line that he was, but Cooper Webb was coming through here and he was jumping off of this roller about 3/4 of the way up this face of this is more steep in real life. And they were jumping into the face of that and then scrubbing off it. And I remember me and my dad standing there watching that and was just blown away by how he had so much bike control over it. He is a really cool guy. Like I said, met him now on a couple occasions, actually lined up at a local race with him down here in North Carolina, and a really cool guy to hang out with and talk to. And now actually he owns a track about 20 minutes from me, Top Gun MX, out in Iron Station, just outside of Charlotte. But once again, super cool to see some of our local riders out here. Goat, or Seth, and he's having some struggles there on gravity. And just like that, there is his buddy there, Tommy, dropping in off the top of gravity there. Yeah, Top Gun, been around a while, has kind of changed hands a few times, and just recently, kind of over the summer, Cooper Webb purchased it. He actually has, and I always forget his name, he actually was at the King of the Hill that same year, and I believe finished third in the 450 class. I was trying to find results to see if I could talk about him, but he is actually running Top Gun now for Cooper Webb. Very fast rider, very cool guys, great family, and it has been super cool to kind of have that nostalgia from that original King of the Hill event, now moving down with me to the southern side of things. But back to some of the racing action, Zeke still putting on an absolute clinic out here, 22-second lead over the number 2 spot of Hockey, and Zeke should be coming across here at any moment. Should be grabbing that white flag. There is Rico once again. Great ride out of him in that 10th position. And here he comes, Zeke on that MXL FXR KTM ride. He is going to be grabbing that white flag. So one more lap to go. And he is going to solidify himself a nice little $25, I believe it is, or $20 for the moto win. And a good crack at the overall. Yeah, it is a $20 payout for the moto win. And he just has to bring this home. 23-second lead now over Hockey. Plenty of space, plenty of time. And I know all the time he spent on this track in game is definitely paying off for him here, as he has found all of those lines. And you can see there is nobody in sight behind him back out here by Hartman's. There is Hockey in that number 2 spot. Believe that is Chubbs, and then Rax right there. Do have Star Power or Star Game, sorry, all right there. So these guys all piled in together. So Moto 2, I'm excited to see, as a lot of these guys may be a little closer than what we've seen here so far. Suzuki rider out here. Sleepy on that TCR ride. And here he is, Zeke making his way around the top of the hill for one more time in Moto 1. Heads down towards the pavilion, over the table, and Zeke on the MXL FXR gets it done here in Moto number 1. And he's going to ride a wheelie all the way to that next turn. Great ride out of Zeke, and $20 in his pocket. Great ride out of Rico. And look at that, Zeke lapped all the way up to 10th place. Insane. Yeah, those ruts are gnarly. I would tell you, a lot of these guys have been kind of complaining about it recently, but you know, once again, if you guys know Palmyra, that is pretty accurate to what it is. As we take a look at a couple riders making their way across, Hockey does grab that number 2 spot. It looks like Rax up into the number 3, so great late race charge there for him. Chubb's in that number 4 spot, Star Game in the 5th. Don't know if we've had Brad cross the line here yet, so we're going to position the camera. There he is on that CDS machine, grabbing that number 6 spot here in Moto 1. Should have a couple more riders making their way by here on the lead lap. That was RC out of Peru. Neff, there he is. Ethan across the line. That is 7th and 8th. And believe our last rider on our lead lap is going to be Source on that MRC KTM ride. Yeah, I've had a lot of people complaining about these ruts, but once again, that is exactly what Palmyra brings to us. I'll see if I can do a little screenshot shares from real life of what Palmyra does look like on a race day here during intermission. We're gonna kick things down for just a second as we take a look to see if we can do a bit of a screen share. Just kind of take a look at what Palmyra actually does offer in terms of the race facility. Just taking a look at some of their pictures off their website here. So let me see. Let's see if we can do... Oops, let me keep it there for a second. I say these upstate tracks, and unfortunately, I think a lot of stuff has started to go to more of the kind of smoother side, I guess you could say. Not necessarily what true motocross is necessarily about, but at the same time, it is still awesome to see a lot of the original kind of gnarly tracks, and I know that's what Palmyra has always tried to stay true to is not giving in to the smooth tracks and allowing these riders to experience what motocross really is. So let me kick things on over here. We'll kick it over to our screen share just for a quick bit. Once again, as we have riders getting a drink of water, taking a breather, and getting their suspensions dialed in. Just kind of taking a look at what the facility actually looks like in real life. You can see a lot of this kind of greenery, beautiful trees. Obviously, a lot of these are taken in summertime, where our track has taken place in our fall time. Scrolling down, seeing a nice prepped track. Seeing some of these, though, just brings back so many memories of how gnarly this track actually got. Seeing all these gnarly foot peg folding ruts. Absolutely beautiful scenery out there in Palmyra, New York. Dozer operators working on the fly off there. Frithy, appreciate the follow there, brother. Welcome on in. As you can see, I gotta say, Rico did a pretty good job of replicating what this track actually does look like in terms of kind of that scenery, the elevation changes, and there's that big uphill triple that I was mentioning prior. Obviously, these 250 riders not really making that stretch up to the top, so great on Rico for dialing that in, seeing some of these ruts and what it actually does look like. You can see that even in game, people complaining about too many ruts, but this is what it actually is. So once again, I always say Rico did a phenomenal job. Whether people complain or not, it is pretty on par to what the track actually does bring. As you can see, if we kick things on back down to our track cams, you can see that if we head back to this corner, actually less ruts than what you would typically see at Palmyra. So but once again, just a beautiful job done. I know Rico was talking about coming back out here, trying to redo some stuff, kind of dial it up a little more for next year's purposes, and like I said, trying to bring in an even bigger King of the Hill event. Going to try and do it either probably the week after it happens in real life. So we'll try and plan around that. Obviously, there'll be more updates as we get closer to it. But I believe that was the horn, so not wasting any time as riders are heading back down to the gate for Moto number 2. We just suck at the game, not Rico's fault. No, I as someone who's not the greatest at the game, I've kind of found my niche in the announcing side. I can definitely confirm with that. That is definitely not Rico's fault. Rico's doing what he was supposed to and matching a gnarly track, and that is exactly what he brought us. But here we go, that 30-second board going to be going sideways. Revs are going to be going up. Riders looking to grab the number 1 spot here, and we are going to get a reset. So a little bit of a red flag there on the start. Get everybody lined back up. Once again, if you guys don't know the game, sometimes there's some little bugs here and there. May get a bugged game here and there, so they have to do a reset, get riders back in the gate. I mean, I gotta tell you, I think in my opinion, Unadilla's amateur track has probably been one of my favorite tracks of all time. Just how gnarly it used to be. It was one of my favorite tracks in terms of just going out and riding and being able to explore a track and find the smooth lines. You don't really get that a lot these days in some of our motocross tracks. But here we go. That 30-second board has gone sideways. Revs are up. And we're going to see who can grab that #1 spot here in Moto number 2. Gate is down and we are going racing. Riders hugging tight to that inside, trying to stay away from some of the carnage. And Chubbs is going to get it done twice in a row. He is going to be walking home with $10 no matter what happens. Stargame, Neff, Rico, Brad, all out to great starts. Jake, Adam, Rax, Finley, Yami, Carter, Ethan, and where is Hockey and Zeke? There is Hockey. Not the start he was looking for. Source buried as well. Sleepy and Go at the back of this pack. And there is Zeke, dead last. And he has got a lot of work to do if he wants to try and hold on to this #1 spot. Gets tangled up into some riders, and he is going to go down once again. And he is slowly watching some of these race leaders pull away. And Chubbs, it looks like he is off to a great start here, running it in that #1 spot, just like we saw in Moto 1. But he is going to have a few teammates of his own right behind him. Neff and Stargame, very fast riders. Brad getting taken out down there at the bottom of Gravity. Not the place you want to find yourself trying to pick the bike back up. Good start out of Rico as well. Adam, and there is Hockey. So Hockey in much better position than Zeke was to try and find his way to the front of this pack. And there is our race leader here on lap #1. Chubbs on the MXL FXR KTM ride, making his way up through walkers. Still trying to run away from Stargame, his teammate, as well as Neff. Rax a much better start here in Moto number 2. Ethan up towards the front, running in that 5th spot. Brad going to be there in 6th. Adam, Rico, Source, and Adam B all right there as well. Hockey grabbing a 2-for-1 up the inside. Narcissist, appreciate the follow there, brother. Welcome on in. Once again, huge shout out to everybody that's made all of this possible. The whole MXL crew. Rico, who we see hitting the ground there in the back whoop section, he has been the man that's really put most of the effort into this. He not only is hosting the race, he's out there riding, and he is also the man that put this track together, testing some of his artistic skills. And you're going to see him cartwheeling down to the bottom of Gravity. Moto 2 not looking as hot as it was in Moto 1. Sleepy putting some pressure on. Going to try to find a new line up the left-hand side. Going to try and close that door, and he is going to get that pass made on Rico. As well, though, as we were talking about it, all the sponsors and everybody that makes all of this happen each and every week throughout the MXL series, huge shout out to all of those guys. And then, obviously, for the King of the Hill race, Hogback Hill, giving us the opportunity to not only model a beautiful track and giving just our riders in real life a place to go race and ride, all the club members for putting in all the volunteer work to dial in a track as beautiful as this. But also, like I said, being the pioneers to it, bringing in some real life motocross track support to the game. Like we had mentioned early on in the stream, our race overall winner is going to get a swag bag from Hogback Hill. Additionally to that, we're going to be picking out 2 people just at random for swag bags. So make sure if I do reach out to any of you guys that that you keep an eye out for any of that on social medias or anything of that nature. And then as well, AG21 or the man Austin himself. We are also going to be doing a drawing. You can see his all his tags right here. And he is a videographer out of Western New York that puts together like those Instagram reels and stuff that you guys see. Works a lot with like Trevor Schmidt and everybody out there on the western side of New York. We're also going to be doing a giveaway with him. He's going to be we're going to be picking somebody. If you're out of that Western New York area, then you'll get a free session and free video with him. So huge shout out to that man. If you guys are interested, make sure you guys go check out all of his social medias. He does do phenomenal work. So if you guys are looking to get any videos done, whether it's at any of the practices, any of the races, make sure you guys go check him out, see if he is around and has the ability to fit you into the schedule. As we continue to rip though through this track, Chubb's 8-second lead now out in that number 1 spot, looking great here in Moto number 2. Rax now clawing his way up into that number 2 spot as he makes his way up the schoolboy jump and heading towards the camera here. Stargame on the MXL machine should be in that number 3 spot, but he is going to have some close competition with Brad right on that rear tire. Neff starting to claw his way in. Ethan and Source right in the mix, 6th and 7th as well. So we make our way back down the hill just a little bit. Hockey, who was that number 2 spot in Moto number 1, he is currently in 8th. And that is not going to be great for his overall, but still not the end of the race. Still plenty of time for something to happen. As we see Sleepy makes a mistake at the bottom of the hill. Rico and Finley up to the top. There is Adam B. There is Carter. And you know what name we're looking for. That would be the man Zeke, and I am still not seeing him. RC Yami, Young Cherokee, or Tommy makes his way up. Waffle on the Suzuki. We got Jake on that Kawasaki machine. There is Goat as well on the KTM ride. We got Slicks on the RXS Academy KTM, and I'm starting to think that Zeke may have pulled off, as we do not see his name anywhere. And there is Chubbs making his way back around as our race leader. So it does look like race 1 winner has went back to the pits. Not quite sure what happened, but he is now going to be finding himself quite buried in our overall standings. It is unfortunate to see, as he was absolutely flying in Moto 1. Looks like Rax here, or Ricky Bobby, is going to be in that number 2 spot, looking to put that bike up on the podium and possibly even an overall. A 3-2 could be in the cards for him. Stargame in that 4th spot. We got Brad on that CDS machine. He is up into the number 4 position. Neff is well in 5th. Ethan just there behind him. And as you can see, a lot of these guys not necessarily even battling it out rider to rider, but this track really throwing some challenges at him in terms of how gnarly it can be. One little mistake, seeing Hockey there miss his line, and he's going to lose about a second there just from that little bobble at the bottom of the 10,000. It's like Nico off the side of the track there. The lapped rider as Hockey makes his way by in 8th. See if we can make our way back to the far left side of the track. Everything that I mentioned usually comes out of the pavilion. So if you're at the pavilion, you're looking off to the left side here, where we see walkers out here. Definitely some different line choices. Making sure you don't cross rut, just like we see Neff do there. Neff really trying to put the hammer down, but Ethan able to make that pass stick and starting to run away with that position as well. Oh, and looks like we may have had a mistake out of Chubbs, as Chubbs now in that number 2 spot. It looks like Rax has moved himself into the number 1 position. Oh, and Zeke giving us an update. Looks like his mic died once the gate dropped and wasn't able to get back on track. We're seeing that battle continue here between Ethan and Neff. That is for that 5th and 6th position. Well, Zeke, I know we were rooting for you. Saw you out there early in the race. Had some unfortunate events with some of the other riders, but at least you're still walking home. That Moto 1 win does secure you $20, so it was not worth nothing, as you were still walking home, putting a little change in the pocket, buying you dinner, whatever it may be. Seeing Ethan go over the bars there as he clips his front end, and he is going to lose 2 spots. Also, I appreciate the follow as well, brother. Ooh, and the server getting a little squirrely there. I do apologize if anything looks a little weird. Sometimes the MX bike servers get a little wonky at times. Look at that, Brad tripling in, is able to get that. Like I said, that is a reach on these 250s. You have to be absolutely perfect. And we're gonna see where Rax is. This should be him making his way up the hill. Indeed it is. 12.5 minutes to go here in Moto number 2, and Rax is looking to grab that number 1 spot. Looks like Chubb's not quite done with him though. About a 1.5 seconds just off him. We've seen Chubb's ride great all night long, and he's going to try and continue to charge forward though. Brad still sitting in that number 3 spot. Still has some opportunities to close the gap into our front runners. He is trying to fight his way through some of this lap traffic. And usually about halfway through the moto, I always like to do a big shout out to Club MX. Those guys over there in Chesterfield, South Carolina, run an absolutely phenomenal facility. If you guys have never made your way out there, I believe they have 11 tracks now. I could be mistaken. It may be even more at this point, but they have been absolutely killing it lately. I know a lot of their professional riders on the AMA circuits have been looking really good lately. Cody Schock and everybody getting ready to dial in for the AMA Supercross season. You guys are interested in any training or riding, make sure you guys check out all of their social medias. They also do have a YouTube channel and everything as well, so make sure you guys go check all of that out. Keep up to date on what they got going on, and as I always say and do, is make sure you guys are rooting them on. They're it's amazing what these guys have been able to do and the performance level that they can stay at without technically being one of the premier like pro teams. I mean, obviously they've put together a program that rivals those pro teams, but man, they've done a fantastic job, and so huge shout out to all of them. If you guys ever do find your way down here, make sure you guys shout out special media, let them know over at Club that we sent you on in, and as always, make sure you guys try and find Mike Bonacci. Mike Bonacci is the man that it gets a lot of that done over there at Club, and If you guys recognize the name, that is because he is out of Western New York, and he is a big help and big sponsor of the special media streams. So once again, make sure you guys go find him and let him know that we sent you over there. Outside of that, though, still watching this race continue as Rax is out in that number 1 spot, but I believe Rax may have a decent amount of cuts. So that is what he is trying to fight off right now. Chubbs trying to close that gap in. And as you can see in our timing and scoring in our left-hand side, Chubbs does show in that number 1 spot now. So that means that Rax at least has about a second or two of cuts, and Chubbs probably was 0. Chubbs just trying to stay alive through some of the lap traffic. We know that can be detrimental to someone's race. And they're going to have a little bit of a clear track, though, after these 2 riders. I believe that is Yami and Sleepy on the TCR KTM. If we glance over our shoulder, though, we should still see Stargame wherever he is. There he is on the MXL Racing KTM. He does have Brad and Source still right there on his rear tire, not giving him much room to breathe. The rider down here trying to get out of the way for our lead lap guys. Neff as well, great ride out of him in that 6th position. Ethan Goat, a lapped rider in there, and there is Hockey. So still not a ton of ground has been made up. Last time we checked in on him was in 8th. Now he is up into that 7th position. So still trying to charge forward, see if he can find his way up onto the podium. Still make a few bucks here tonight. And if we're looking at timing and scoring, it looks like Chubbs may have closed that gap in on Rax. Quite a substantial amount. We're going to try and find where this battle may be at. I believe they were just out in front of this group here. And they must be further ahead. Some of these guys absolutely moving, and you start to lose track of them. There they are. Chubbs leaping down into gravity. Up to the top, and look at that. Rax having some mistakes of his own. Chubbs trying to find his way around him. It's going to be a battle and drag race up to the top of the hill. Chubbs is going to grab that number 1 spot back from Rax. And with 7 minutes to go here, this now is in Chubbs's ball court. As Rax still sitting in that number 2 spot, has a decent amount of cuts. You can start to see it there. These guys not too far off each other, and there's about a 5.5 second difference. Once again, those are cuts and penalties given to a rider if they go off the track or anything. That is how the game kind of monitors that. But once again, this is the battle for the number 1 spot. Chubbs currently in that number 1 position. Rax, or Ricky Bobby, as we see here on screen, he is in that number 2 spot. Brad still holding strong to the number 3. Stargame just there behind him. About not even a second difference. These guys got to be touching tires right now. As here they are. This is the battle for that final podium position. Brad leaping down the hill there, trying to dodge some of that roughness. Both riders a little mistake there. Brad goes for his triple in. He does get it. Is it going to be faster? Not quite close enough to make that pass stick, but he is putting the pressure on. And look at that, drives up the inside, looks for the line, has the preferred. A little bobble out of Brad, though, and Stargame able to hold on to that number 3 spot for at least the time being. Two different lines. Brad to the left, Stargame off to the right. Both riders dive up to that inside line and make their way back down the hill towards the pavilion. These guys both on the throttle, not letting off, not giving an inch of ground between these guys. And you can see Brad actually was able to make that pass stick as he has made his way around Stargame there. Lapped rider hopping off the track there. Appreciate that. Jay, appreciate the follow there, brother. Welcome on in. Look at that. Stargame and Brad get tangled up. And Stargame is going to go down. And Source, a much better ride here in Moto 2. He is starting to catch eyes of this battle. Feels like he wants a piece of it as he continues to charge up and reeling in Stargame, who is going to be his next target. Neff on the MXL Nitro Development KTM ride. He is going to be running in that 6th spot. Great ride out of him so far tonight. Ethan on the AEO MXL KTM ride in the 7th position. We do have Adam B is going to be in that 8th spot, wherever he may be, as these guys are just absolutely flying, putting some ground between each other. There he is on the Moto Culture Co. KTM. There is our man Rico in 9th. Finley in that 10th position, a privateer rider. And here come our race leaders. It does look like Rax is in that number 1 spot. There is Chubbs. And it looks like the tides have changed as Chubbs now a second off of Rax. And this race, still plenty of time to go. 2.5 minutes, 2:45 still on the clock. Rax still trying to run away with this moto win, secure that $20 and an opportunity at our overall. Chubbs trying to close that gap and not happy with just the 2 hole shots. Nick, appreciate the follow there. Welcome on in. Got about 2 minutes left here in Moto number 2. Watching Rax here in that number 1 spot. Rico getting squirrely. As Chubb still trying to continue to charge forward 2 seconds off that number 1 spot. This is where we see Rax really come alive as these late moto charges. The track gets gnarly. Other people start making mistakes, and it seems like Rax plays a different game where he just doesn't let off. Nick saying he had to retire. Trust me, dude, I feel that. There's a reason why I announce now. With a few laps to go here, Rico on the side of the track, rooting on his teammate there, seeing if he'll catch Rax in these final few minutes. Thinking to follow my step. Hey man, it is definitely a fun time being in the booth announcing and basically watching all the racing action go down. There's a couple avenues in the game that you can definitely pick up if you're not necessarily the fastest guy. But as we all know, there is always amateur series and things of that nature. So there's definitely a spot for everybody in this game. And obviously when you have this man right here, Rico, putting on such a great series, and building us awesome tracks. Just makes this game that much more fun. But if we're keeping an eye on it, it looks like Rax is making his way down the hill. My guess is he is going to cross the line before time expires. We're going to see here. And he does. So we are going to have 2 laps to go instead of white flag. If you're Rax, you're probably hoping that that was white flag there, but if you are Chubbs, that gives you an extra lap to try and put the hammer down. You got a 12-second lead over the next one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially Hogback Hill. I mean, this track that Rico put together for us, like I said, it mirrors pretty close to what this track actually is in real life. When it is fully race prep, this is what it looks like at the end of the day. Once again, I know a lot of people complaining about how gnarly some of these ruts get. And exactly, yeah, this is harder than some of the aerial stuff. I know Rico wants to kind of come back through, recomb it, maybe into next year. See what he can kind of put together. But I know we're going to try and keep as rough of a track. And you can see these guys kind of yo-yoing around again. I do apologize for some of the server delays. But as we see Rax make his way up the step up, going to be making his way around to grab this white flag here in just a second. A 1.5 seconds difference right now separating him and Chubbs. There it is. White flag is out. Last lap for the Moto Academy rider. He is looking to try and grab an overall and at least the $20 for the moto win. Looks like Chubbs may have had a little bobble as it's now a 2.5 second gap. But as we can see, Rax still dealing with some lap traffic, able to make his way across to the right side of the track. Gonna try and swing this, trying to dodge some of these other riders. As they get awful close to him there, he is just trying to make his way through and survive. And it does look like he makes his way through most of the action. And you can see that was Adam there. Adam in 7th. It just shows how fast some of our front running guys are. But they have lapped the entire field. A lot of riders retiring out, calling it quits. Can't take any more of the rough. Once again, we this kind of signature race was really kind of an idea that Rico and I put together. Obviously with him getting into some of the track building and then some of the support out of Hogback really kind of made this possible. It was a little bit of a last minute decision of when we were going to do it. So I think next year we're going to try and really build on it and expand to what we can really do with it. What Palmyra is going to put up and all the other sponsors that we have bringing into it. But here we go. Rax on the Moto Academy. Husqvarna gets it done here in Moto 2. And that is going to be interesting. We're going to have to see how this overall lines up, as Rax may have gotten it done. We're going to have to see. Chubbs comes across the line here. 2 hole shots on the day. So he is at least taking home $10. We do have Brad on the CDS machine. Started to close that gap and not quite close enough to get it done, but still a solid 3rd position. Believe that is Star Game. There he is in the back, making his way up over the table, across the pavilion, and he is going to be reeling it in for a 4th position here. Looks like that was Source taking an off-track excursion on the MRC machine. Great ride out of him for a 5th. That is a great ride. Neff does get him though on cuts, so Neff actually going to grab that 5th spot. Source in the 6th. We have our man Goat coming across the line, stayed with it all the way down to the wire. 14th for him. Looks like Rico trying to get that bike up and moving. Sleepy going to come across the line in 8th, but is there cuts? And it is going to go to Sleepy. Rico in that 9th. And Yami, the only Yamaha rider out here, is going to grab that 9th spot away from Rico on cuts there. So what a phenomenal race. Once again, huge shout out to everybody that brings all of this. There was a lot of lappers, I will agree. but we're going to kick things on back down to the booth here, kind of hang out for a minute, see what our overall results bring us, and see who we're going to be bringing up onto the podium. So give us just a second here as we dial in all of those final results. Once again, it is going to be Zeke grabs the Moto 1 win. Unfortunately, had some technical issues and not able to finish out Moto 2. But Rax able to capitalize on that, grabs the number 1 spot here in Moto 2, securing himself a nice little $20 payday at least. And then as soon as we get our overall results, we will have our podium up. And if you guys are announced, if you're one of the top 3, make sure you guys join in on Special Media's Discord. I will post that in the chat there. So if you guys are interested, and it didn't post it, lovely. I know a lot of you guys probably already are, but once again, if you guys are out of the Western New York area, make sure you guys let us know. Make sure you guys kind of let us know you kind of came out and joined us for this race. I know it's not the most popular game, but it's definitely not the least. We're slowly growing into a pretty big community and trying to bring more realistic kind of racing for us. So trying to bring in obviously a good stream, some good hosts, and obviously some support from IRL sponsors, as well as even some tracks. Like I said, this has been a really cool opportunity to work with Palmyra. And just super excited to see what we're going to be able to do next year when we have a little more time to kind of build everything together and come up with a good game plan. Like I said, once again, we are going to be doing a giveaway for Austin on AG for an edit. That is going to be real life edits, by the way. So if you guys are out of the Western New York area, make sure you guys go check out the MXL Racing Instagram. He did make a post. That post, if you guys like it, share it, and follow AG. Like I said, you'll be entered in to win that package. And like I said, that's going to be a pretty cool thing where you guys can go out to a track. He'll be there. He'll take all the videos. He'll do everything for you and hook you up with a pretty cool video. Outside of that, Hogback was able to pitch in some swag bags. So obviously the overall winner, once we get those results in, they are going to be getting a swag bag. So I'll be reaching out to you about that. And then additionally to it, we'll be picking out 2 people for at random to see who is actually going to get some other swag bags. So as I'm sitting here talking about it, though, we do have our overall results in, and it is going to be going to Rax on the Moto Academy. Husqvarna ride grabs that number 1 spot here after a battle in Moto number 1. In position number 2, that is going to be our man Chubbs on the MXL FXR ride. He is going to grab that number 2 spot, and grabbing the number 3, staying consistent and staying smooth, Brad on the CDS Shiraku machine. He is going to grab the 3rd overall. So if I announce you guys, make sure you guys join into the Special Media Discord. We'll grab a quick word from you if you guys are around. And then we will go ahead and start to wrap things up. Yeah, exactly what my pops is saying. Huge shout out to the whole Palmyra Racing Association. Like I said, they're a non-for-profit organization, all club ran. Those guys do a phenomenal job. If you're in the area, if you're in the Northeast, make sure you guys go check them out. Check out all of their social medias. Keep up to date on what racing they have coming up. The track is insane. You guys just saw it here on the video game, but that just shows you how much better it could be in real life. So make sure you guys go check all of that out. Obviously, huge shout out to the whole MXL crew, Rico, and all of them for putting on such a fantastic show for us. and can't wait to continue building with these guys. TPR, AB Customs, THV, CBS, all of those guys, huge shout out to them. VM Visuals and Club MX for being the title sponsors. Huge shout out to all of them. Pop's putting the link in there for the Palmyra Racing Association. Make sure you guys go check all of that out. They do have memberships. I'm not quite sure what all the time windows are and everything, but if you guys are in the area and looking for a club to belong to and ride all the time, make sure you guys go check all of that info out. It is definitely worth it. And I know myself growing up racing motocross up there, we were there all the time. So make sure you guys go check all of that out. Once again, if we could have Rax, Chubbs, and Brad, if you guys are around, join on into the special media Discord. I'll drag you into the podium for a quick speech. If not, we'll go ahead and start continuing to lock things down here for the night. And just like that, yeah, applications are open for the Hogback Hill membership. So like I said, if you guys are looking for a place to ride, even camp, whatever it may be, make sure you guys go check them out. And like I said, their facility is phenomenal. What I said, 160 acres or so of room. And like I said, I grew up racing this track. I grew up riding there. Belonged to the organization for a long time. Like I said, my dad being a president for over a decade, he really brought me into it and kind of solidified my love for motocross. So make sure you guys go check all of that out. Not seeing any of our guys on the podium, so I think that's probably going to do it for us here tonight at Special Media for the signature race of King of the Hill. Rax is going to be getting crowned King of the Hill on the virtual side. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming out, hanging out with us, and just kind of chatting it up in the chat, whether you were out on the track racing. Huge shout out to you guys. Huge shout out to all the sponsors and everybody that makes all this possible. Make sure you guys keep an eye out any inboxes of social media. Like I said, we will be doing some drawings and giveaways, so make sure you guys keep an eye on all of that. Other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the new year. And if not, we'll catch you guys next Friday for back to racing with the MXL World Championship Series. So if you guys like what you saw, make sure you guys tune in, drop a follow, and we'll be back to racing next week. Hope you guys have a good one, and we will catch you guys later. Peace.